is an agricultural biomass supply company. So we handle everything that is required to get to the feedstocks, the biomass feedstocks that go into all the cool technologies that then make renewable fuels and chemicals and products and materials. But the start of all of those is the biomass, the green matter, the material, the land. We manage all of the production, the logistics, the harvesting, the handling to get it to the form that it needs to be converted into other useful products. Although I would say our kind of focus and specialty area is these purpose-grown energy crops, the dedicated energy crops. And I think one of the reasons we focused on that is because there are pieces of that whole supply chain that are very different. It's very different if you're planting a crop today that's still going to be an asset and yielding that same energy crop 10 years from now. And so managing those systems requires some additional effort, and that's where we focused. So people probably have heard of switchgrass because it was in the news there for quite a couple of years in the Bush administration, particularly. What's happened with switchgrass? Is it coming along, and what other crops might you be getting into? So switchgrass has tremendous potential as an energy crop. Some of the advantages of switchgrass are it grows very well on land that's not really suitable for major row crop production, so it's not going to compete on the same land that you would use to grow corn or soybeans or other productive crops. So that's a big advantage. We don't irrigate it. It is a perennial crop, so once it's planted, it's going to yield the same amount for the next 10, 15, 20. We even have some 25-year-old plots that are still very productive. Very low input use, and it's actually a conservation grass. That's what it has been used for about a century now. Very good soil stabilizer. So lots of good reasons to like switchgrass. But I would say that switchgrass is not the answer in terms of an energy crop. It's one piece of a portfolio of a lot of different energy crops that all have a role to play. So we also work with miscanthus, energy cane, some of the annual crops like high biomass sorghum, sweet sorghum as well.
Now, when we're talking about different crops, is that because the geographies are different and different things grow in different places, or is it because they handle better for certain types of applications?
So there are really two major considerations when you're talking about which feedstock is the best in a certain circumstance. So one is the geography. It matters where you are and what crops are really suitable and tailored to that land productivity. The other consideration, though, is so what are you going to do with it afterwards? And some processes work better with different crops than others. So we really try to match up the right crop to the right land to the right process. So the typical model is where we contract to lease the land over a 10 or more year period. And that works very well with these perennial crops where you need to, if you're going to invest the upfront cost of establishing those crops, you then need to ensure that you can generate the yield from that asset over a longer period of time. So it works very well in a long-term lease. We then have the access to that land under that lease, and so a lot of the storage takes place on those same farms.
Yeah. How much potential would there be? Let's take an example of land that's maybe not currently in use, but could be used for something if you had the right crop. How much land is available of that type that would support something, but just there's not really anything there right now where you really have almost an open opportunity?
So
is it hundreds of acres? Is it millions of acres?
It's many millions of acres that are what we would call underutilized land. So all land is being used for something, even if it's just idle. But it may not be generating a very sizable return or the highest return that it could for that landowner. So that's the acreage that we target a lot of times. Often this acreage may be in pasture or being used for a hay crop or something. And we can actually, with some of the energy crops we grow, we can take a cutting of a high protein feed crop and use that to supplement the local forage markets and then grow out the biomass on that same acre. For example, if you have a just typical hay field in any part of the southeast, it's probably on average going to yield about 1 to 2 tons per acre. And you're going to harvest it maybe 3 times to get that 1 to 2 tons per acre. For some of the energy grasses, we can generate, on average, 8 up to 10, even 12 tons per acre using that same acre of land. So we have customers that span several different sectors in the bioeconomy right now, which is a big advantage for us, is being able to move in and out of these various markets. So they range from advanced biofuels production to biochemicals and biopower as well. More recently, we're looking at some more traditional ag and ag products and materials applications that further diversify the base of customers.